What's up everyone and welcome back to Reload Reacts episode 45. My name is Trey and today we are going to look through r/today I messed up, the subreddit for those who have messed up in their life and just want to share it with the world of Reddit. This first post is by Kid Kobold. Today I messed up by remembering a regular's order. I work at a popular coffee shop in Canada and have been for the last 2 years. Most customers who come here a lot don't have to order because we already know it. One guy who comes in orders something distinct and was very nice to me when I first started. His order was the first I memorized. For example, he orders a large and a medium coffee, but sometimes would just get the large. He came in today for the first time since I started working again from quarantine. I told his order to the girl working the counter with me, listing the large and medium coffees, but he ended up just getting the large. Afterwards, my manager told me he wasn't getting the medium anymore because it was his wife's order, and she had passed away. That's kind of a sad one to start off with. The top comment reads, "We have had that happen at the grocery store I work at. This couple came in almost every day, and then one day the wife came in by herself. I asked her, 'Where's your other half?' She replied, 'He had a stroke and passed away last week.' I did feel kind of bad for asking in an upbeat tone, but I didn't know." Yeah, I feel kind of bad reading that one in an upbeat tone. I didn't know it was going to be like that. Hopefully the next one's a bit more upbeat. This next post is by Tim Hortons67. Today I messed up by misusing a whiteboard for 1.5 years. I bought a whiteboard when I moved into my new and current house. This was supposed to be the ultimate pièce de résistance to my awesome new home office. It took a few months to ship, and when it finally did, I was pretty unhappy with it. First of all, there was this big crack behind it, bending the metal in an unsatisfying way. But it wasn't that noticeable, so I didn't bother sending it back. The worst though, was that it was near impossible to write on it without leaving ghost marks, and you can forget about letting some writing on it more than 24 hours. As a result, I wound up not using it for most of the last year. Basically, his only purpose was as a magnet holder, when it should have been used for so many different projects. Today, as I finally had some free time, I looked into the process of cleaning my whiteboard and making it more usable. As I applied some store-bought cleaner, I found this small tear in some kind of plastic coating. I freaked out, ripped it all out, and came to the horrifying conclusion that I spent 1.5 years writing on plastic. I now have a brand new, unused board that has been sitting in my office. The top comment reads, "I work at a hardware store and once had someone return a stainless steel dishwasher because it came in blue and the finish was peeling. I'm sure you can see where this is going, but I peeled the protective layer off to reveal the spotless stainless steel underneath. He ended up exchanging it for a new one because his wife liked the blue better." Today I messed up by sitting in the wrong class for an entire month and finding out a day before the first midterm. I'm in my 3rd year of university taking engineering, so this is a little extra embarrassing considering my streak of never being that person in the wrong class. To start the semester, I ended up missing the first week of school because I was on a last-minute trip with my friends. It was completely unplanned, and actually a few of my friends who had graduated helped chip to buy my ticket since I technically couldn't afford to go. Anyway, I came into class a week late and it is scheduled for Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 to 8:15 PM. On both those days, I have classes all day until 2 PM, so I usually go home to eat, grab a snooze before the night class. So my first Tuesday home, I ended up oversleeping and turning up to class 5 minutes late. So as a part of my degree, I have to take microeconomics, which I knew all about it. Previously, it's about the economy and money. When I get to class, they're talking about supply and demand curves shifting, so I just take a spot in the back, not thinking twice. This goes on for 3.5 weeks. I came to class, took notes, then did the weekly assignments. On the course syllabus, it had a date for the midterm, which is February 1st. So the class before the exam, January 30th, I decided to stick around after class and ask some questions. Now I was doing all the assignments and thought the course material was relevant, but it was all theory based, while the class was heavily math based. I understood what was going on, but there was obviously some disconnect. I explained my concerns about the midterm to the professor and the conversation went like this. Explains above about material. Professor, what do you mean theory? All the assignments are filled with math. Are you using Launchpad? Me? No. The assignments are online. Like the website we bought the textbook from. What's Launchpad? Professor, pardon? I don't have a textbook for this course. Me. It literally says in the syllabus, look. Shows syllabus, Professor. Wait, what class are you supposed to be in? Me. What do you mean? This is Econ 202, right? Professor starts laughing. This is Econ 301. You have to take 202 before you take my class. This is a new one. I've never experienced this before. Well, this is awkward. I better go see my actual teacher and explain. I then just grabbed my stuff real quick and sprinted through campus to go explain the situation to the other guy. I caught him just as he was leaving lecture and explained my predicament. Even showed him my Econ 301 notes to prove I couldn't make this S up. He just laughed and said the same thing. This is a new one for me. Turns out all the assignments for both classes were due the same day. Same with the midterms. They were relevant because it was obviously a level above what I was supposed to be doing, and the only thing I got wrong was the building code. They were both classroom 112, just different buildings. So basically, I just spent the last 2 nights forgetting everything from this class all month and learning the real material. Wish me luck tomorrow. Edit. Well, S. Went to sleep and woke up from a friend texting me saying, "You made the front page, you MF, ha ha ha." The exam is in a couple hours and I will update you on my grade, but to clear up some of the comments, yeah, the trip wasn't the smartest, but I had fun and went to Tiesto's birthday in Vegas amongst other cool stuff. Life goes on. 2. I was doing the assignments for the actual class with some help from my good buddy Google, and I had the actual textbook. Pirated, no one buys textbooks, come on. So I do have a grasp of what's going on, kinda. You did everything on the board, and there were online notes, but I figured you did practical application in class, and the online notes, actually for my 202 class, were for reference purposes. 3. I highly doubt I'll fail the course or the midterm. It's amazing how much you can learn in 24 hours with enough caffeine and fear in your belly. I've made it through almost 3 years of engineering, so I'm sure it will turn out fine. It'll be a funny story at graduation when I get my ring. Edit 2. Just got back from the exam. I didn't crush it, but there is no way I didn't pass. It was 20 multiple choice and 2 5-mark short answer questions. The professor also stopped me leaving the exam and said, "I usually don't tell students this until before the second midterm, but if you score better on the final and second midterm, I will take the average to make up that first exam." So all in all, I survived and lived to fight another day. Just wanted to say thanks for all the kind words and hilarious stories. I will start going through my inbox and try to reply to some people. In the words of one of my good friends giving me advice in the first year English, literally everyone in English at multiple points feel like they're gonna fail and life's over, but somehow they keep going, and that is the circle of English life. Well, that was a lot more reasonable. I liked that. That had a pretty mild ending, I'd say. This next post is by President Weevil. Today I messed up by purchasing an expensive coffee machine and making a terrible discovery. I drink a lot of coffee. My mornings consist of 2 300ml mugs of coffee, and I sometimes have a third after dinner later in the day. Recently, I got far too into James Hoffman's videos and decided to upgrade my Essie Drip coffee machine for a proper precise brewer. And when I say precision, I mean that this thing comes with a water testing strip so you can calibrate the machine for your mineral content in your water supply. Serious nerd S. To justify the ludicrous amount of money I spent on what appears to be the Hadron Collider of coffee machines, I did some research on brewing ratios in order to maximize the allegedly life-changing potential of this equipment. Now, Coffee Science says the ideal water to beans ratio for this brew method is about 60 grams of grounds per litre of water. Out of interest, I decided to prepare my usual ratio from the old machine and see how close I was. It turns out, since I got the old machine just over a year ago, I've been brewing at about 20 grams per litre, resulting in what I now realise is pathetically weak brew. I prepared a proper 60 grams per litre brew with the new machine, and the resulting coffee was on another planet. The flavours were so developed, it was like I could taste the touch of the Colombian farmer who picked the beans. I drank my full morning dose of two 300ml mugs in just over an hour, and then I discovered an unexpected side effect. The year of drinking weak A brew has conditioned my body for weak coffee, and I had just drunk over half a litre of coffee that was technically 3 times as strong as usual. It has now been an hour since I finished that first pot, and I can hear the passage of time. A fly flew past me in slow motion. I made an omelette for lunch, and I beat the egg so fast it turned into steam. My heart no longer beats, it vibrates, and there is something unholy brewing in my lower intestine, and I am fearing the wrath of God when it is released. Send help. Well, that was a funny story. I hope they're okay. This next post is by Danzig LOL. Today I messed up by starting small talk with a kind little dude on the subway. Yesterday, I got onto a subway train around rush hour, so it was quite packed. I squeeze in with my brother to find a spot to stand. I notice a little dude, about 6 or 7, in the seat next to where I'm standing, squish up against his mother to make room for me. He looks up and smiles, his eyes inviting me to sit down next to him. As a larger human, 6'3" and almost 200 pounds, the tiny half a seat that he had opened up wouldn't quite fit me, though I couldn't let his kindness go unnoticed, so I decided to half-cheek it. To be sure, he understood what he did was really nice. As I sat down, I thanked him for making room and I told him I really appreciated the gesture. We high-fived and in hindsight, I should have ended it there. I noticed he had a backpack with him, so I asked how school was that day. He told me it was just alright. Then I asked the fatal question, "Do you have a lot of homework over the weekend?" He let me, the stranger, know he had a big math packet that he had to get done. Unfortunately for him, his mother was listening to our conversation. Her eyes lit up when he told me about the packet. She yelled, "Ooh boy, you told me you finished that yesterday. Guess who doesn't get to play his video games this weekend, you little liar?" His head sunk into his chest, as did mine right along with him. A few stops later, his mum dragged him off the train by his little jacket. He looked back at me as they departed, a look that said, "Bro, I thought we were cool, how could you do me like that?" His look of betrayal is gonna haunt me for days. Hang in there, little buddy. One weekend may seem like an eternity at your age, but time flies. The top comment reads, and I agree with this too, "Hey, he's the one that slipped up. Kids need to learn to keep these stories straight, even when talking to multiple people." That's so true. It's really important to keep your story straight, otherwise you don't know what could happen, you know? This is a stranger, you don't know who they know. It could get back to you, man. This post is by TIFU 439587283. Today I messed up by not making the bed and causing my wife's entire family to panic. Throw away because I'm still embarrassed and I don't want anyone to associate the stupidity with me. This is a 6-year-old post, just so we're clear. For background, I usually make the bed in the mornings, but I didn't yesterday morning because I was running late. I went to see my dad yesterday, but my wife wasn't feeling well, so she stayed home. I got back around 8:30 and I couldn't find her anywhere. I checked the bedroom, the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom, everywhere, and I just couldn't find her. Her wallet was there, so I figured she just went out for a walk, which is normal since we live in a big city that's active into the night. I started getting worried at around 9:30 because she also wasn't answering her phone. I called a few of her friends and asked if they'd seen her, but none had. I called her parents and asked them if they knew where she was, which led to them freaking out because no one could find her. My father-in-law told me to track her phone, so I went into her Apple account, and it told me that her phone was in our apartment. I turn on the Find My iPhone sound and start running through the apartment thinking I should call the cops. I hear the sound coming from the bedroom, so I go in and start tearing the room up, when suddenly my wife pops up from the bed and asks me what the heck I'm doing. Turns out the small lump that I thought was just a pile of blankets since I didn't make the bed that morning was actually my wife, who went to sleep early because she didn't feel well. She sleeps with earplugs in, so she didn't hear me in the apartment. I had to sheepishly call her entire family, own up to my stupidity, and apologize for terrifying them. Oh god, that's embarrassing. I so understand why you have a throwaway for that. This post is by Snedgemaster. Today I messed up by trying to play my dad's Didgeridoo. You heard that right. So my dad has had this Didgeridoo in the house since he visited his sister in Australia 10 plus years ago. My parents wanted to go out for a walk, but I'd decided I'd eaten too much cheese and couldn't be asked. While they were out, the internet went down, so I was sort of wandering around looking for something to do when I spotted the Didgeridoo. I thought to myself, in all these years I've never actually tried to play it. It's more of a decoration and I barely take it in when I see it, and maybe it's time. I pick it up and put it to my lips. I felt like I knew what I was doing and that it was similar to playing a trumpet, and wanted to play a long, loud note. I take a sharp inhale and immediately feel something hit the back of my throat. Oh no! Oh no! I splutter really hard and a small white globular thing comes flying out and hits the floor. At first I thought it was saliva and ignored it, as I had a weird sensation in my throat and mouth. It felt like tingling to start with, but grew into more of a tickle on the inside of my cheeks and a bit on my gums. I glance down at the white stuff on the floor and see several baby spiders crawling out of it in all directions. Oh god, I've got shivers. The second I clock what's happened, I feel something tickling my top lip and slap my mouth with my hand. I have squished a spider on my lip and instantly go into panic mode. I run into the bathroom and spit repeatedly into the sink to see crushed spider bodies and some severed legs, some of which are still attached to parts of the body and are trying to drag themselves away from the plug hole. I urge several times, then frantically swill my mouth out with water. I don't think my mouth will ever feel normal again. Oh god, no. No. I hate that. Australia is not like that. The top comment reads, "This tube was probably a portal to Australia." No, this part of Australia at least isn't like that, I assure you. Damn, I was going to read another story, but that grossed me out too much. I think I'm going to end it here, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stories in r/today I messed up. Let me know what you'd like to listen to next in the comment section below, and also hit that subscribe button because I post new Reddit content every single day. There are 2 videos on the screen right now, one of which is for the most recent video, and another is for a video the YouTube algorithm thinks you'll want to watch next. My name is Trey, this was Reload Reacts, and I will see you in the next video. I'm so sorry.